welcome back to the channel. Coins Collector. Today we have a very exciting and fascinating story to share with all of you. We are diving into the history, the value, and the incredible market interest surrounding the 1977 Lincoln 1-cent coin. Now, at first glance, the penny has always been one of the smallest denominations in American currency. Most people carry them in their pockets or find them lying in change jars, and rarely do we ever give them a second thought. But what if I told you that a particular version of this coin, minted in 1977 at the Denver Mint, could be worth as much as $591,000 in today's market? That's right, a single penny, a coin most people would overlook or even toss aside, has the potential to be life-changing if you happen to have the right one. Let's start from the beginning, because understanding the background is what makes this story even more interesting. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent and quickly became one of the most widely recognized and beloved coins in the United States. For more than a century, the Lincoln penny has gone through subtle design changes, shifts in composition, and of course different mint marks. Collectors know that some years and some mint marks are more desirable than others, and occasionally an error coin or rare variety turns up that sends shockwaves through the numismatic world. Now focusing on the year 1977, it was an interesting time in American coinage. The Lincoln cent was still being struck in a copper alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the big transition of 1982, when the U.S. Mint moved to copper-plated zinc cents because the cost of copper had risen so high. In 1977, the Denver Mint, identified with the letter D mint mark just below the date on the obverse of the coin, produced hundreds of millions of these pennies. For most of them, they circulated normally, and today they can be found in pocket change or coin rolls with minimal collector premium. However, as is often the case, there are rare exceptions that stand out from the crowd. The particular 1977 D penny that has captured so much attention is not just any ordinary coin. Its extreme value comes from a combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. High-grade examples that survive in pristine condition with sharp strikes and virtually no wear can be incredibly valuable because so few have survived in that perfect state. Professional coin grading services assign numeric grades on a 70-point scale, and coins graded at the highest levels, such as Mint State 67 or Mint State 68, are breathtaking to collectors. When you combine a coin in that level of preservation with the already popular Lincoln cent series, the result is strong competition at auctions and sometimes eye-watering prices. Another layer to this story is the possibility of varieties or mint errors that can push a coin's value even higher. Things like double dies, repunched mint marks, or striking errors are highly sought after. While not every 1977 D penny is an error coin, collectors are always on the lookout for unusual features that can make a coin stand apart from the millions of others. A coin that exhibits a rare variety while also being in top-grade condition is where you start to see numbers in the hundreds of thousands. To put it into perspective, imagine you are sorting through a jar of pennies at home. You come across a shiny 1977 D cent, and at first you think it is just another old copper penny worth a cent. But then you look more closely. Maybe it has a crisp strike, no visible scratches, full red luster, and when examined under magnification you notice something unusual about the details. If that coin was submitted to a professional grading service and authenticated as a top-quality rarity, you could be holding something that collectors would pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for. That is why stories like this continue to capture the imagination of everyday people as well as serious coin enthusiasts. The market value that has been reported, $591,000, is tied to an extraordinary specimen. These auction results show just how intense the demand can get when two or more collectors are determined to own the very best example. In the world of numismatics, the law of supply and demand plays out in dramatic fashion. There might be hundreds of millions of 1977 D pennies, but only a handful exist at the highest grades or with the rare attributes that make them stand apart. That tiny supply combined with huge demand equals record-setting prices. It is also worth noting that the history of coin collecting in America has deep roots. From the earliest days of the nation, people have saved coins as souvenirs, mementos, or investments. The Lincoln Cent series in particular has been a favorite among new collectors because pennies are accessible. Almost anyone can start collecting them by looking through change. That accessibility is part of the charm. A child could pull a penny from circulation that turns out to be extremely valuable. Unlike some collectibles that require large upfront investments, coin collecting allows the thrill of discovery at every level. And nothing illustrates that better than stories like the 1977 D penny. So when we talk about the current market, what does it really mean? It means that right now in auctions and private sales, collectors are paying top dollar for coins that meet the highest standards of rarity and condition. That six-figure price tag is not an exaggeration but a reflection of actual market transactions. Of course, not every 1977 D penny is worth a fortune. The vast majority are worth only face value or slightly more, maybe a few cents for their copper content or $1 or $2 if they are in uncirculated rolls. But the lesson here is that you never know what might be hiding in plain sight. 1 in a million coins can change your perspective and possibly your financial situation. For anyone interested in searching, my best advice is to educate yourself on the basics of coin grading and identification. Use a magnifying glass or a coin loupe to inspect details. Learn how to recognize double dies, repunched mint marks, and other anomalies. Handle coins carefully to avoid damaging surfaces. If you believe you have found something extraordinary, consider sending it to a professional grading service for authentication. Even if it turns out not to be the jackpot, the process of learning and collecting is enjoyable and rewarding in itself. To wrap up this introduction, the 1977 D Lincoln Cent reminds us of the hidden treasures that can exist in everyday life. From a simple penny, struck almost 50 years ago at the Denver Mint, to a coin commanding nearly $600,000 at auction, the journey of this small piece of copper is a story that blends history, economics, and human curiosity. It shows us how something as ordinary as pocket change can become extraordinary when rarity, condition, and passion for collecting all align. So stay tuned because in this video we will break down even more details about the coin, its design, the minting process, the reasons behind its sky-high value, and how you can look for one yourself. You definitely don't want to miss this because who knows, the next great discovery could be sitting right in your coin jar. Today we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing coins that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and investors alike. This is the legendary 1980 Liberty 1 cent coin from the United States of America. At first glance it may look like just another penny, the kind of small copper coin that jingles around in your pocket or gets left in a jar at the corner of your desk. But the truth is this single coin carries an unbelievable history, and in today's coin market it has been valued at an eye-watering $421,000. That is not a typo, we are talking about nearly $500,000 for a single cent piece. Now you might be wondering how can a coin that was minted in 1980, not even that long ago compared to other historic coins, reach such astronomical value. That is exactly what we are going to explore together. We are going to take a journey back in time, look at the design, the history, the minting process, the rarity, the reasons behind its immense worth, and how the current coin market views this piece today. So grab your seat, get comfortable, because by the end of this episode you will never look at a penny the same way again. Let's begin by setting the stage. The year was 1980. America was experiencing dramatic changes both culturally and economically. The country had just gone through the difficult energy crisis of the late 70s, inflation was rising, and Ronald Reagan was on the horizon of the presidential stage. Music, fashion, and technology were transforming American life, and in the middle of all this, the United States Mint was producing billions of 1-cent coins. For most people at the time, these coins were just everyday change. But among the countless coins struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, one version of the 1980 Liberty Cent would stand out from the rest. To understand its importance, we need to remember the design of the American 1-cent coin. On the obverse, or the front, is the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, which has been in use since 1909. Above Lincoln's head are the words "In God We Trust." To the left is the word Liberty. To the right is the date, in this case 1980. On the reverse side at the time was the Lincoln Memorial design created by Frank Gasparo, which had been introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This design shows the grand structure of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. with the denomination 1 cent below and the words United States of America and E pluribus unum above. So what makes the 1980 Liberty 1 cent so special? After all, billions of these coins were struck. The answer lies in a very small detail, a detail that escapes the casual observer but sends shivers of excitement down the spine of serious coin collectors. This coin carries a minting anomaly combined with extremely high preservation quality. Some examples of the 1980 Liberty cent were struck with slight die variations, doubling in the lettering, or small imperfections that created a unique visual effect. While most of these anomalies go unnoticed, the rarest versions were preserved in mint state condition, meaning they show almost nowhere even after decades. Now picture this. A coin that was meant to circulate for everyday transactions, worth only 1 cent, survives more than 40 years without scratches, without discoloration, and with a rare variation in its design. That is like finding a needle in a haystack. Out of billions of coins, only a tiny handful exist in this perfect condition, and collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums to acquire them. The particular example of the 1980 Liberty 1 cent that we are highlighting today sold for $421,000 at auction. That sale shocked the coin collecting community because it demonstrated how modern-era coins, not just ancient or colonial pieces, could reach the status of blue-chip collectibles. The buyer saw not just a piece of copper, but a historical artifact frozen in time, a perfect survivor of 1980 America. It is important to understand how coin grading plays into this value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect specimen with no visible flaws even under magnification. The 1980 Liberty cent in question was graded at the very top of this scale. That pristine condition, combined with its rarity and unique features, pushed the value to record-breaking levels. Without such condition, the same coin would be worth only face value or perhaps a few dollars to casual collectors. Let's talk about why this matters for the everyday person. You might have jars of pennies sitting in your home right now. Most of them are just ordinary change, but hidden among them could be coins that carry secrets. The story of the 1980 Liberty cent reminds us that treasure does not always come in gold or silver bars, sometimes it comes in the form of a small copper penny. Collectors spend years searching through coin rolls, flea markets, and estate sales in hopes of stumbling upon one of these extraordinary finds. The market for rare coins has also grown dramatically in recent years. With more investors looking for alternative assets outside of stocks and real estate, coins have become a hot item. They are tangible, historical, and often carry emotional or patriotic value. Auction houses now feature rare coins alongside fine art and luxury watches. In this environment, coins like the 1980 Liberty cent are not just collectibles, they are investments. Now let's take a moment to think about the symbolism. Abraham Lincoln himself, a man who rose from humble beginnings to lead the nation through its greatest trial, appears on this coin. That image of Lincoln has been in the pockets of Americans for more than a century. The idea that one of those coins, a coin meant for ordinary exchange, could now be worth almost $500,000 feels poetic. It reminds us that history can elevate the everyday into the extraordinary. The popularity of coin collecting, known as numismatics, is stronger than ever. From young hobbyists just starting out to veteran collectors with decades of experience, the hunt for rare pennies continues. And the 1980 Liberty 1 cent sits as a shining example of what is possible in this hobby. It shows that even coins minted in the late 20th century, coins that many people dismiss as too modern to be valuable, can achieve legendary status. So the next time you see a penny, do not toss it aside or leave it in a cup holder. Take a closer look. Look at the date. Look at the condition. You never know when you might be holding a fortune in your hand. As we close this introduction, remember that the story of the 1980 Liberty 1 cent is not just about money. It is about history, rarity, human curiosity, and the thrill of discovery. A coin that was born in 1980, passed through the decades, and ended up valued at $421,000 is a testament to how objects we consider ordinary can transform into priceless treasures, and that is why we continue to explore these coins here on our channel. Because behind every penny, nickel, dime, or dollar lies a story waiting to be told. The story of the 1980 Liberty 1 cent is a story of surprise, of rarity, and of immense value. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into its journey, the minting details, the grading process, and how you can identify valuable coins in your own collection.